Welcome into the program, everybody. This is Alabama Unfiltered Radio. I'm Scott Beason. We appreciate you listening to the show. Today is a Tuesday, the 19th day of May in the year of our Lord 2026. I hope you've had a good morning, and I hope the last 21 hours have gone well as well since we last visited. Today is primary day here in the state of Alabama. The Alabama Republican Party and the Alabama Democratic Party. Is it Democratic Party, Sky, or is it Democrat Party? I think it's Democrat. I think it's Democrat Party. The primaries are today. Everything is in full swing. The polling places opened here in the state of Alabama at 7. Unless they have changed the rules, they will close at 7 tonight. So today is your day to go out there and make your choices when it comes to the different primaries. I'm often, well, I shouldn't say surprised, because, look, it's just one of those normal things. Sometimes I think people who listen to this program, Sky, get their feelings hurt because I say things and they're like, well, I didn't know that. I'm not a dummy. No, the point is we're just not very well informed. It's not really our fault. We went to school. We took all our classes. A lot of people made good grades, and a lot of the information that should be common knowledge in the United States really wasn't ever presented to us. So it's not really that we're not dumb. And the word sounds bad, but what the real definition of the word is true. We're ignorant. We just don't know. And I'm not saying I know everything. I don't. Just through the years, you accumulate knowledge. Just like if I was to call many of you and get you to come on my program and tell me about the job that you do, whatever job it is, you know way more about that than I do. And it's kind of like, how people always say, Sky, they give a hard time to somebody and they're like, well, son, if you don't go to school, you're going to end up digging ditches. Well, number one, we need ditches. I would argue at times we need ditches and people who know how to dig ditches more than we need some people who shuffle paper around on their desk and get paid a lot for it. And that guy or that girl that digs ditches, I guarantee you they know stuff that you and I do not know. And I guarantee you they know things that if we went out and did it, it'd either take us 3 or 4 times as long as it does them, or we would get ourselves in a bind, or it wouldn't work the way it's supposed to work. It can't be that hard, Scott. Oh, really? Do y'all remember what was the guy's name? Michael Bloomberg. If my memory serves me right, he was making some sort of derogatory comment about people who farmed. And he said something like, Sky, about how hard can it be just throw some seeds out on the ground? And I'm like, you are a what? A multimillionaire, possibly multi-billionaire, and your vast experience thinks that farming or even having a garden is just throw some seeds out on the ground? That always brings me to my other question. It does bother me, and I don't know if it bothers y'all or not. I've met a number of very wealthy people during my time, and I'm often shocked at how not bright those people are. Not all of them. Some of them are brilliant, but some of them are, I'm like, man, you're as dumb as a hammer. How in the world did you become a gajillionaire? Now, I have my sneaky suspicions. Maybe they're not super bright, but they might be, what's the word? How do you say it nicely, Sky? Crafty. Not like they can sew and crochet and glue things together crafty. I'm talking like crafty, like, how do I pull one over on you today, crafty? I will tell you whatever you want to hear. No, there's no sawdust in that transmission. Buy this car. It's a good car. That kind of crafty. Like the negative crafty. Well, you got that look on your face, guy. You got that look like, I do not want to agree with Scott on this.
I've met some. Sure, we all have.
Yeah, and you're like, what the heck has happened out there? And then you meet the person that people don't have in high regard, and they turn out to be one of the wisest women or wisest men you have ever met, and they are content, and you're like, oh my gosh, this guy is super smart, super nice, lives a great life, and all these folks that kind of want to look down on them are like, not very happy. It's maybe that's one of the Southern things. I get sensitive when people say bad things about Alabama or about the South or whatever, and I think there are a lot more people in the South who have got it figured out. Have you ever heard the story, Sky? I saw it somewhere, and I think it's set in, at least the version I saw was set in Mexico, where there's a guy who's like fishing, and some young American, straight out of the Wharton School of Business or whatever, sees him, and he's like, you could, he said, what do you do? And he said, well, I go out and I fish every day, and then I go home and eat, dinner with my wife and see my kids and all that kind of stuff. And he's like, well, if you really saved and invested, you could get another boat. There's so many fish out there where you are. You could get 2 boats, and then you could, save a few more years, and you could reinvest, and you could do all this, and you could do all these business things, and you could get a bunch of boats, and you could have other people working for you, and through the years, and you scrounge and work hard and 24 hours a day and do all this, and eventually you'll have a fleet of boats, a fleet of people working for you. You'll make a whole bunch of money. And he's like, well, what happens then? Well, then you'll retire with a lot of money, and then you can just fish, kind of when you want to, and spend time with your family. And he's like, that's what I do today.
I've already got that.
I already have what you're telling me you want me to go through all that to do. And I wonder sometimes if we have let the world tell us what we need to do so that we can be content. A lot of times I talk about, or I have said many times, about getting new cars. I love new cars. I like cars. I like to see the different kinds of cars. I like to, I'm like, wow, that's a good looking car. But I did learn a long time ago, and I bet y'all did too, that, your friends and your family, they care about what car you have probably the first time they see it. You drive up over at your friend's house, you look what I got. And they say, oh man, that's the coolest thing. Let's go for a ride. You go for a ride, you drive up to town, you get a grape slush, drive back home. He's like, man, I love that car. It's awesome. Yeah. It'll be mine in 5 years. Yeah. You drive off. He doesn't care what kind of car you have again. And guess what? You're paying for it for 5 years. So was it worth that? Because I know we were impressed. Now, look, like I said, I like cars. I've had a couple of cars that every time I go to them, I'm like, man, I like this car. Gives you a nice, warm feeling. Sky has a car like that. Sky has a car that says, man, I like this car. And yes, there's enjoyment in that. But I also have cars that are just cars that, might not be the cheapest car, might not be the most expensive car, but I'm like, man, did I really need that car? What could I have done with the rest of my... I could have just, I don't have to get the fleet of fishing boats so I could retire one day and fish when I want and spend time with my family. I don't know. It's just on election day, it always makes me start thinking about what are our priorities? What do we really want? Most of us in the South, we just want our politicians to leave us alone.
Amen.
We just want them to quit raising taxes. We want them to stop coming up with programs. No, Scott, I don't want you. No, I don't.
We need more programs. We need more programs for more people, and I don't care what it costs y'all.
And that's really kind of how it is on programs, isn't it? Do you think by 2026 we probably have enough programs? Because all these programs are unfair, Sky. You know how they're unfair?
Wow.
Because there's somebody out there who needs help who doesn't qualify for any of the programs we have. Because in the past, we said in all our wonderful virtue signaling, we're the kings and queens of fairness, we decided to help this person and not that person. Well, why are we helping this person? Because this person knew a legislator. No, why are we helping that person? Well, because that person was on the news. We got to take a break. We'll be right back. Lots of stuff to do today. It's election or primary day in the state of Alabama. We'll be back.
Scott Beason, president of ARP, Alabama Recovering Politician.
Alabama Unfiltered Radio with Scott Beason.
Welcome back in, everybody. This is Alabama Unfiltered Radio. You're Scott Beason. I don't know what you're talking about. People don't know things. People don't. Why did you get started on that? Oh, I matched it. I thought it was guy. There it goes. Been a little deep. So here's the story. This is a repeat of a story. It's the second time this has occurred in the last probably 6 months. Story by Mike LaChance over at MS Now that used to be MSNBC. They have a host named Katie Turr. And during the conversation, transcript was written by Tim Graham. So here's what she's talking about. She's got McKay Coppins on as a guest. And she says, what about this passage from Mike Johnson? Now, Mike Johnson is the Republican Speaker of the United States House of Representatives. What about this passage from Mike Johnson declaring that our rights do not derive from government? They come from you, our Creator and Heavenly Father. Is this him putting God over the Declaration of Independence?
Whoa.
This is a lady with a show on at MS Now, Sky.
Speaking of ignorance,
Yes. And I wonder how many people are out there who have managed to grow up in the United States and have not read any of our founding documents. And when I say the founding documents, I mean at least the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution one time. I know I've told y'all before that I have spoken with a number of attorneys who told me that when they studied constitutional law in law school, they never read the Constitution. Their class was someone telling them about the points of the Constitution that the professor was interested in. Now, I was always under the impression that you would read the Constitution, contemplate it, discuss it, and then have a discussion of the individual points. But no, that's not how it works. I would argue that many attorneys have been trained, and practically speaking, it is accurate in the modern day, that what is constitutional is purely what the court says it is today.
also many constitutional law classes, modern classes, are about how to defeat the Constitution.
How to work around the Constitution.
Obama was a constitutional professor, allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
And I'm sure he wasn't taking it literal.
No, and he publicly stated his problems he had with the Constitution.
Yes, he did.
That it was too restrictive,
Right.
which was the whole point.
That was that was what the founders had in mind, to restrict the government.
Yes.
Barry?
So Katie Tour says they come from our Creator and Heavenly Father. Is this him, Mike Johnson, putting God over the Declaration of Independence? Well, a couple of things, Katie. One is God is over the Declaration of Independence. No one takes a back seat, or God doesn't take a back seat to anyone or to any document. And our country was founded in such a manner that our laws understand that we are beneath God's laws. Now, y'all may not like it, but that is the way it actually works. So McKay Coppins, now listen to this response back, Sky. I actually think that the idea is not wholly uncommon. See how she worked on that one? Instead of saying, hey, he's right, she says, I actually think that the idea is not wholly uncommon. I'll translate that for Alabama talk. Hey, yeah, a lot of people think that. It's not uncommon. I mean, the idea that we have certain inalienable rights that come from God can be read in a fairly benign way.
How? I don't understand
Well,
that.
you see what she says in the second
How
part?
do you walk around it? Okay.
Yeah, you can think, you can say that your rights come from God. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to believe in God. It doesn't necessarily mean, we can tamp that down. It's okay, Katie, it's okay. Which is basically that we have innate human rights. Do you see what she was taught in school?
Yeah, I'm beginning to get the picture, yes.
Yeah, look, just cause those crazy old founding father guys, crazy old white Christian guys said they come from God. Well, it's the same as human rights. Don't you love, this is what I love about so many leftists. When they're like, I stand for human rights. I am for human rights. I'm for human rights. Well, what are those human rights? 9 out of 10 of those human rights that they believe in are derived directly from Christianity. Because they're rights that people didn't have before there was Christianity. Nobody gave a rip about you. Nobody gave a rip about your family. Nobody gave a rip about the people in the community down the street. No one cared if you lived. They didn't care if you died. They didn't care if you starved. They didn't care if they had to come down there and sacrifice you all to the moon gods and to Baal. They didn't care about any of that. The law was, I can take whatever you have if you can't stop me. And I can do whatever I want to you if you are unable to stop me. And it was Christianity that civilized an uncivilized, violent world. And then all of a sudden they're like, well, we don't like the God part, but we like all your other rules. Now, that was for a long time. And then we decided that, no. We also have human rights to do the things that God says are wrong. So we went full spectrum. We went from, hey, we'll adopt your things because we don't want you killing us. We don't want you stealing from us. We don't want you raping us. We don't want you just, sacrificing us. We'll agree on that. But now we've become so civilized that, well, there's some more things that we would like to do. And, you need to just let us because these are human rights. So she continues on. That our Constitution and our government, our democratic government, she's wrong about that one, are meant to codify, right? That idea is not totally abnormal. It's not totally abnormal that our rights come from God is not totally abnormal. It is in the founding document. When Katie Tur says, is this him putting God over the Declaration of Independence? The Declaration of Independence, I just
was
can't.
Inspired by the divine.
It's
mentioned time after time in the Declaration.
I can't take it. And so on election day, you have to ask yourself, is this why we have as many problems as we have in the United States? Is that we have no common culture? We have no common belief system? That people doing political commentary on the biggest cable news networks don't understand the basic philosophy that the country was founded on? And if they don't understand the basic philosophies that the country is founded on, how do they even know they don't agree with the founding fathers? Which many of them do not. They don't even know what the founding fathers actually believed or said. So we're having these elections, Sky, where we're debating these ideas, and it seems that a big portion of our fellow Americans have no idea what they're talking about. We have to take a break. We'll be right back.
Scott Beason, president of ARP, Alabama Recovering Politician.
Alabama Unfiltered Radio with Scott Beason.
Welcome back into the program, everybody. I'm Scott Beason. Thank you for listening to the show. Let's get out to a couple of your phone calls before we move on. Real quick, before we do that, Scott, there's an ad running, and I've heard it a lot of different places, and I've seen this, and this is one of those things we have to be very leery about.
Okay.
Have y'all seen the big thing about, hey, you know what? Wait a minute, let me get my Senator Ledlow or whatever his name is down in Hertzahatchee. What's his name?
Senator Ledlow is correct.
We, if you vote for me, I'm for, if they can't pass a budget in Washington, D.C., they won't be paid. Right?
That's what I heard, yeah.
Now, will the staffers
Heard it before, too.
Will their staff be paid? Yes, you got to pay the staff.
Sure.
Right.
Working people.
So everybody else in government will be paid, so the members of Congress won't be paid. Well, that'll get them moving, Scott. That'll get them moving. You know why? You know why we think that'll get them moving?
Why?
Is because what we're paid gets us moving.
Right. It
We
motivates
work.
us.
We work regular jobs. If somebody doesn't pay us, we're in trouble. More than half of the members of the U.S. Congress are millionaires.
Yeah. And they make a lot more money from their side gigs, I understand.
Yeah. So if they don't get paid their now, look, it's a lot of money for me, all right? $175,000. That's a lot. But if they miss some paychecks in Washington, D.C., do you think they care? So what?
I don't think it would be the end of the world that the candidate.
So what?
presumes it
Yeah.
to.
So what are we doing? You may tell you what we're doing. And look, I've lived
Yes.
this. What we're doing is say one of y'all, and look, I would take any of y'all, just take one of our listeners from our show randomly and send them to Congress, and it would be an improvement over what is going on in Washington, D.C., okay? So I love all y'all. But if y'all were sent to Congress and y'all were and I was having to pay for my house back home and try to have a place to live up in Washington, D.C., and you're doing everything right, and they come along and say, oh, we're going to cut your pay because we don't have a budget. And you're like, I vote for budgets every time. I'm the only person here saying we ought not be in debt and we ought to have a budget, and I've been screaming it for years, but you're going to make me lose my house because all y'all who don't really care won't pass a budget?
Right. It wouldn't hurt the entrenched representatives. It would hurt the new people. Coming in trying to make a difference,
would hurt
trying to make a change.
that one genuinely middle-class person
Right.
who was
That's doing his
able to
job.
somehow
The public servant.
get through it all. Yeah, what's the show? What's the one where the guy runs? It's the guy from It's a Wonderful Life, and he's in Washington D.C. and he's going to filibuster.
Mr. Smith goes to
Yes,
Washington.
that's what we would do. We would break Mr. Smith, and Mr. Smith would lose his farm or whatever he has back home.
Right. Yeah, brilliant. It's another of these feel-good laws.
Yeah, but
we're gonna show them.
But we get behind those because they trick us.
That's right.
You know,
we're looking to inflict damage upon them somehow. And
I'll
that's
tell you another big
appeals to
trick.
that baser sense.
And look, I know it's a two-edged sword, but this is one of the things they sold us years and years and years ago, okay? Hey, y'all, you know what's wrong with politics? Rich people buying all the politicians. And you're like, heck yeah, I'm against that. So-and-so is a millionaire, and he gave Joe $100,000, and Joe does everything he said. We got to stop that. And the powers that be in Washington were like, yeah, y'all want to stop that, right? I'm like, yes, we do. Okay, well, we'll put limits on what you can give. And you're like, yes.
Sounds great.
Sounds awesome. That's awesome. You know what happens? So they come along, and I remember when I was running for Congress, they're like, well, you can only take, I think then it might have been $2,400. That's the most Sky could give me is $2,400, which is a lot. I mean, it's a lot. No doubt about it. It's a lot. It doesn't go very far in a political race. It doesn't buy very many radio or TV ads, I can promise you. And so all of us were celebrating, hey, yeah, we've really put a stop to those rich guys. And then here's what happened in the real world for people like me. Somebody down at the country club or down at the the Elite 50 Club or whatever you want to call it, they're all sitting around. They're like, hey, who we going to support? I don't know. You like Scott? No. He's a freaking bomb thrower. He won't do what we tell him. We'll get Joe over here. Are we all agreed on Joe? Yeah, everybody like Joe? Well, I don't like Joe, but if y'all are for Joe, I'll be for Joe. I kind of like Scott, but if y'all are, I can't get outside the herd. And all of a sudden, 50 people agree that they'll each give $2,500. Now, what is that? So 10 is $25,000. So he raised $125,000, right? Then they said, and our wives will give $2,500 apiece.
Yikes.
So now Joe has just raised $250,000 from the Elite 50 Club down at the Gold Bar Standard Country Club, whatever.
Bushwood, I think.
Yeah, Bushwood.
Yes.
So he's now Joe has $250,000. I went out. Sky was like, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna give you $100. That's more money than Sky's ever given a politician." William and his wife gave me $75. That's more money than they've ever gave a politician. A couple people down at the church gave me $50 apiece. I'm at $125 or $200. Joe has $250,000 because the rich guys who all run together in a pack who convinced us all. Now, here's the kicker, Sky. I had a guy come to me. He said, hey, look, I want you to win. I'll give you $250,000. I'm like, really? Well, I appreciate that. He's like, yeah, because I believe in you. And I said, look, if I have $250,000, I will be the next congressman. It does not matter how much the opponent has if I have $250,000. It wouldn't matter if they spent $2 million. If the 50 Gold Club or the Gold 50 Club gave them $2.5 million, my $250,000 could overcome it. But my $250 couldn't overcome even $125,000 because there's a diminishing returns.
Right.
But I had to tell that gentleman, I can't take your money. I mean, I can only take $2,500. You can't give me $250,000 for a congressional race, even though I might have been a congressman if I got the $250,000. So my point is, the quote rich guy would have arguably elected the most conservative candidate, and I'm not talking about the last time I ran. I'm talking about the first time I ran. But he couldn't do it because we all thought we wanted those rich guys to be limited. Do you get what I'm saying?
I do. Totally understand.
And so what we did was we took the regular person who says, I'm going to run for Congress and is being supported by regular people. He almost has no chance when people are pouring in. And then you don't even get into super PACs and no limits over there and who's running it. That's the next stage of problems. But I've been convinced for a long time that we were sold a bill of goods. Now, what the answer is, I'm not 100% sure. But they take these things, they float them out to us. We swallow them hook, line, and sinker. And then I'm convinced that they're in a meeting and they're like, I cannot believe we're able to pull these things off.
Suckered again.
We are suckers sometimes. We got to take a break. We'll be right back.
Scott Beason, president of ARP, Alabama Recovering Politicians.
Alabama Unfiltered Radio with Scott Beason.
Welcome back in, everybody. This is Alabama Unfiltered Radio. Let's get out to your phone calls. Let's go to Red Top. Red Top, welcome to the program. I heard that you have voted already.
Yes, I have, and I'm in a small district, but only one little lonely voting machine in there, and it only has 39 votes on it so far.
What
Hey.
time were you there?
Oh, I'm at Highland Garden School.
What time did it have 39 votes on it?
About 20 minutes after 8 this morning.
That is
Okay.
is that lower than it usually is? Do you vote about the same time every time, Red Top?
Yeah. It's pretty low at that time of day over there because it's not a heavy traffic area.
Yeah.
But they only have one voting machine, and I asked them. Apparently, each voting machine goes up to 500 votes. So if they fill one, they roll in another one. Now, I just passed by St. James School on Vaughn Road, and it was a pretty big crowd there.
Okay. All right. Well, that's interesting.
Cars packed in to get in. They do offer a Constitution-only ballot.
Yes, we had a person call yesterday after you had called to let you know and everybody else know that you can have a constitutional amendment only ballot. He worked at one of the polling places, so you must have missed that.
Yes. And I was apparently the first person to ask for that because the voting people just had to verify it and all that, and nobody had asked them that yet today.
Yeah.
And the people were so nice. I recognized all of them. I walk up to this one black lady named Miss Johnson, and I said, "Guys, here's my cousin sitting here right now."
All right. Good
And,
deal.
Of course, everybody's in there is black but me.
Really?
So I turned to the next. Yes, everybody's. At that time, all the people working the polls are black.
Okay.
So I say, "God, this my cousin's sitting right here." And I turn to the lady next to me. She's black, and I go, "We look just alike, don't we?"
and you are
everybody in the
pasty
place-
and redheaded.
Ain't no doubt about it. I said, if this lady had red hair, she looked just like me. Don't y'all say? And they just laughed so hard.
Hey, look, that's the
my
way we
name's
ought to be. It ought to
Johnson.
be more fun. Yes.
Oh, absolutely. And I like to tease these people because everybody I know named Johnson is black just about. So I guess all my cousins are black, you know what I mean? So I have to tell them that.
All
But
right,
they get a
Red
kick
Top.
out of that.
Thank you, buddy.
Y'all go vote today. Roll Tide.
You got it.
You don't have to call me Johnson.
Just look, we're all. That's the thing. There was a time in this country. When do you think the best time in the country was for, or at least in our part of the world, for everybody getting along? Right before Barack Obama?
I would say that you could make a case for that. Yes.
I mean,
Seemed like things were on the way up.
Yeah, I mean,
Definitely.
because before Barack Obama, people would like I would be coaching little kids sports, all right, and you might have there might be a black dad, an Asian dad. I think we would say, you'd say, what kind of Asian? Not Indian, but like Oriental, which I don't think you can say anymore either. But and they would all make they would all make jokes, like, you know, maybe the black dad would say, well, you want me to do that because, you know, I'm you think I'm faster than you are? That kind of stuff. I remember one time we were having to keep up with the clock and the score, and it was overtime, and one of the dads was like, why are you giving me all the math? Just because I'm Asian? That's
There you go.
that's
Yeah.
good stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
We can.
everybody just doing, you know, why you want him to get it? Because you don't think I can jump and get that kind of stuff? Because, you know,
We could laugh with each other.
you could. And
And
then Barack
embrace our
Obama came in
differences.
and made everything about being angry and what can I get, and you're opposed
You're
to
an
me.
oppressor, and everybody's got to be upset with everybody
An
else.
oppressor and a victim, which is the whole Marxist mentality. And they don't just come out and say, hey, we're supporting Marxism. They
They live it.
They live it, and they sprinkle these seeds, they plant these seeds, and the seeds start growing up into weeds, and they cause us all kind of problems. So I'm glad Red Top and the folks at the polling place had a good time, and that's what it's. I mean, we're all God's children. What was it? What was it? Roy Moore said they got onto him for doing the no matter if you're red, yellow, black, or white, because you're not supposed to say yellow either. Or red. I don't think you can say red either. It's from the song about Jesus loves me.
All
Which
the
is
little
another
children.
thing. You have to ask yourself, do these journalists not know those kinds of things?
They don't. I don't think
Is
they
that
do.
what it is? So when you're like,
Ignorance
that's from
strikes
the
again.
song, Jesus loves me, this I know, they never heard that song?
Of course not.
Well, see, that makes more sense.
Yeah, it's ignorance.
That's maybe the theme of the day. Voting day and ignorance.
Which is worse, ignorance or apathy? I don't know and I don't care. Is the response I'm looking for.
Is that a baseball quote?
Yes.
Is it really?
Yes.
I knew it was. We got to take a break. We'll be back.
Scott Beason, president of ARP, Alabama Recovering Politician.
Alabama Unfiltered Radio with Scott Beason.
Welcome back into the program, everybody. Alabama Unfiltered Radio. I'm Scott Beason. Hey, don't forget Brian Dawson's podcast. It's called 1819 News, the podcast. You can find it over at YouTube. After you're through listening to our show today live, you can check that out. You can also find it at the other places where you usually find your podcast. 1819 News, the podcast, over on YouTube with Brian Dawson. Don't miss it. The lots of stuff out there. So we decided that the quote, "Which is worse, ignorance or apathy? I don't know and I don't care," is attributed to Sky Mosley.
Thank you. Yes, I was thinking it was an old
Because no one
baseball
else
quote,
has
but
the full context, which makes it very funny.
How about that?
Did you make that
Sports
up at some
fans?
point in time? I've had
I
some
may
quotes
have.
that I thought were good. They're not available on the internet. I looked up best Scott Beason quotes, and
What'd you get?
some of them are not good.
That ought to be pretty good.
AL.com,
Oh, that's
they're
hot.
Aborigines, but they're not Indians.
That's a classic.
That's one. Our purpose today is to say that I'm very sorry and I apologize to anyone whose feelings were hurt by my comment.
That's standard.
And
Yeah.
the third family, and that father also has a gun, but he empties the clip. He solves the problem. I don't remember that one, but empty the clip was a big one that the reporter came halfway through a speech and missed the intro. At the end of the speech, I tied the story from the start to the end. It was an empty the clip, which meant do everything you can do.
Right.
Okay.
Give it all.
And they wrote that I wanted to empty the clip on illegal aliens. I was advocating violence. And by the time that went from the little local newspaper to the bigger ones in the city of Birmingham to New York, became a national story. And that's how I became one of the worst people in the state. Says, I think we face a lot of problems and we need to tackle them with everything we have, with all of our brain power, our imagination, and with courage. That's what I meant by emptying the clip.
Leave it all on the field.
Leave it all on the field.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Go all out. Yeah. You can't hate the media enough. You really can't.
really can't. And I'm about to tie this in to another story. Immigration. This is the quote they have for me on the AIs. "When I tell that story today, it still breaks my heart. We were elected to stand up for that lady. And if I ever get a little deterred about what we're trying to do, I think about that lady's face, the story she told me." And that was from one of the hearings. That was printed by on This American Life. I think it was the lady that was telling about how she had just about lost everything. She had started a little house cleaning business, and that's how she paid her bills. And somebody came in using illegal labor, undercut all her prices, put her out of business, and she had paid her mortgage for the second or third time on a credit card. And you know what?
That's just
And
wrong.
tons of journalists did not care. They heard that story. They did not care. What do? They run out and tell you a story about the poor illegal alien just there for a better life. They could care less about their neighbor. They went to school with this lady. There might have been their high school friend, and just throw them in the refuse pile because they don't care. That's one of the times
because it's not politically expedient for them.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
That's
Where's the empathy there?
That's when I began to realize that you just don't hate most journalists enough, like you said.
True story.
No doubt about it. Let's see. In 2012, during a speech, Beason criticized the long-term political impact of immigration, illegal immigration, but immigration in general, argued that it favored his political opponents. When their children grow up and they get the chance to vote, they vote for Democrats.
Okay. Now,
That
how
is also
twisted
true.
Into out of context.
Look at the state of California. How does that work out? Anyway, but they know. That's why they do these things. Which leads me to, let's go to Charles I before I leave the Declaration of Independence. But don't forget, we went from illegal immigration to California. You don't hate journalists enough, and then we'll have this next story, which is an Election Day story. Charles I of Dewey, welcome to the program. I hope you're well. Thank you for your patience.
You're welcome. Glad to be on. Thank you for having me on. You really like Jefferson and the Declaration of Independence. And so I was going to, and this is Election Day, so I was going to bring up the following.
Okay.
That, you hear them say a lot that it's just a preamble and it's not really part of the Constitution. The Declaration of Independence doesn't qualify as law. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what you hear.
But I researched, and Alabama's Constitution does include these. In Article 1, Section 1, it says inalienable rights. But the really important one is Article 1, Section 35. And I guess you already know this, but, it's a life, liberty, and it's not necessarily, it includes property.
It does,
So
yes.
You got me?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, it includes property. And I would think, and you tell me now, you got these AI data centers and what property might be encroached upon ever in the future. Isn't that being a legal thing in our Constitution something that could actually be used in these situations? You get what I'm asking you there? Because it is in our Constitution, like, property, and it's telling the persons that are in office that this is what your criteria is for what you're supposed to be doing as far as government in the state of Alabama. Isn't that right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and I just thought, well, let's bring that up with it, because we've got these people running, and that is what the Alabama Constitution tells them that they should be doing, which is like really not a lot of other stuff that, our legislators and other people try to put on us. They should be protecting our inalienable rights, life, liberty, and property. And they are actually given that as a directive. And I noticed, I looked it up, no other state has it to the degree that we do, as far as the Declaration of Independence, being followed as law.
Yeah,
And,
somebody
and I
said,
wanna,
who was the guy? Oh, God. He's, I think he happens to be a Mormon guy, but he's a famous guy who has or said publicly in the old days that the Alabama Constitution, its Declaration of Rights, was the best state constitution in the country, or something like that. That doesn't mean we haven't mangled it since then, but I'm trying to remember the guy's
the whole
name.
Thing about separation of church and state, like the legislature did something to that in 1998. I was reading about, which usually when they touch something and put some kind of word into it, it's not necessarily the most beneficial thing on earth.
No,
as you know, that's my opinion.
That's true.
And I didn't mean to hurt Thunder's feelings yesterday. And I am just a core Alabama citizen. And I ask you things when I truly need your input, and you could see that I did.
Yep.
And Tuberville was found just fine yesterday in Covington County. Well, I don't know. I read an article of these all right, but Thursday ain't got here yet. But anyway, I'm not meaning any harm in any kind of way. So
No.
tell her that, and I think the world of her too.
Yes, absolutely.
And thanks for having me on.
Hey, thanks, Charles the First of Doing. I appreciate it. Absolutely. Ezra Taft Benson, Sky. Let's see what he said about the Alabama Constitution.
It's a great name, Ezra Taft.
Ezra Taft Benson. Let's see. Taught. I can't find it easily, but I'll find it for you so that you'll know, because I wrote it in here wrong. What did? Yeah. Let's see. What did Ezra Taft Benson say about the Alabama Constitution? Ezra Taft Benson. Oh, AI is killing me, Sky. Absolutely killing me. There we go. We'll let you know. So what happened in California was, everybody is aware that, what's his name, Pratt.
Right,
Standard
right.
focus, if you're looking, empower the role of government. Well, anyway, I can't find it. It's just about the proper role of government. Here it is, Spencer. Spencer Pratt has become an unlikely thorn in the side of California's ruling political class. The former reality TV personality has spent months blasting the leadership in Los Angeles. And here's what happened in the story. He's made a lot of national news. Jonathan Jones has this over at the Western Journal. So on Sunday, Variety chief correspondent Marlo Stern decided it was time to mock Pratt on Twitter X. Deadline, some publication called The Deadline, published a story about Pratt's mayoral ambitions. The Deadline report was headlined, "Spencer Pratt plans to leave L.A. if he loses mayoral bid. I will be done," is what Pratt said. So Stern comes back with one of these smug posts and says he lives in Santa Barbara. So understand what they're saying here. So Pratt's running for mayor of Los Angeles. Marlo Stern, thinks that they've got a really good one on Pratt. Pratt's the one that's been doing all the AI-based videos of him, the good guys fighting the mayor, the governor of the state. There's like a Lego one. I think there's a Star Wars one. A lot of people put on social media how they're going to travel to California and vote for Pratt. And people are like, you can't do that. And they're like, what are they going to do? Check my ID? I mean, everybody can vote in California, apparently, especially in Los Angeles. So if Sky and I got in the car and did a road trip, why can't we vote in
We're now
California?
citizens, apparently.
Absolutely. All you have to do is wander in, and you're eligible for everything. Maybe if we need it, we'll get a convertible, Sky, so that we'll be tanner as we get there. And then maybe California will let us do it. So Marlo is pointing out that he lives in Santa Barbara. Here's the rest of the story. You know why Pratt lives in Santa Barbara? Why Pratt doesn't live in Los Angeles?
I have an idea.
Because his house burned down in the Palisades fires. Pratt recently was criticized Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass and the rest of the city's political establishment over the handling of the catastrophe. Yet Stern decided the appropriate stance was to sneer at a man whose family lost everything. Pratt fired back. He said, quote, "My house burned down. I lost everything. I can't rebuild. As a 42-year-old man with 2 kids, I've had to move into my parents' house, and I'm getting attacked for that. This is journalism. This is why no decent people ever get into politics. This is why you only have goblins running everything." He says, "God help you if you try to make things right for your community, if you lose your entire town. Journalists mock you for not making your kids sleep in the toxic dirt on your burned out lot."
Wow.
And then he says at the very end, you'll love this guy, "Who raised you, dude?"
Whoa. You can't hate the media enough.
It is so bad what these people do. Now, I'm sure Stern will claim, well, I didn't know that. I don't know how you can be from out there. We in Alabama might not know that. That's why we're talking about it on the air. But you can't be a journalist who wants to involve yourself in the mayoral race in Los Angeles And Pratt will probably lose. I think California is so far gone, Los Angeles is so far gone, Sky, that it would not matter how messed up it is. They will continue to ride it into oblivion. They
This
are
might be their
going
last
to,
chance.
yeah, they're going to ride Los Angeles into the abyss. It's probably already in the abyss, but they'll just continue to ride it down. And you've seen some of the places, and Pratt's like, we'll clean up this, we'll clean up that, we'll get rid of this, we'll get rid of that. And there are places in Los Angeles that just look like, I think they're worse than third world countries.
Yeah. It's tragic.
It is.
We got to take a break, Scott.
We do? All right, because
Yes,
I can't
sir.
see you on that thing. So let's take a real quick break. We'll be right back.
Scott Beason, president of ARP, Alabama Recovering Politicians.
Everybody, Alabama Unfiltered Radio. Don't forget, you can find us over at YouTube as well. Just go to YouTube and search for Scott Beason, find the channel, and then switch over to live content. I don't know, where am I getting you, Sky?
iPad.
I'm off there.
Okay.
Yours is playing, I bet.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
Everything appears to be.
Yeah, it said I was off. Is it gone now?
Okay, now it's gone. Okay.
No,
very
it
good.
was definitely off. I don't know what it was doing. So anyway, it's all good.
Sorry
The
about
let's get back to a story we had yesterday, and then there's some interesting stuff about elections. If you've gone out to vote today and you want to give us a report on, is the turnout heavy? Is the turnout light? Are you going about the same time you usually do? I'm personally predicting a lower turnout. because I don't know which race actually inspires people to go vote. And I've argued that a number of Republicans, and here's the scary part, okay? I believe that there is an orchestrated, fairly well-organized underbelly of Democrats who vote in Republican primaries in the state of Alabama. That's why the Alabama legislature can never manage to try to close the primaries. Now, if they close the primaries, you could still have a lot of Democrats who realize, hey, look, the decisions are being made on the Republican side. I will go and register as a Republican. A bunch of them will do that, okay? And it could happen the other way. I mean, Republicans could go register as Democrats. But in the state of Alabama, the decisions are being made like they were made for decades and decades and decades in the Democrat primary. They're now being made in the Republican primary. And this effort is afoot for Democrats to vote in our primaries to choose the most tolerable candidate for Democrats. That's just what is going on. And it has been going on for a while, and I would argue, with good reason to argue, that the Republican establishment, which is way more squishy, way more rhino-esque than the base, wants the Democrats to play in the Republican primaries so that they can elect the candidates that they like, that the establishment likes. Scott, why do establishment Republicans not just like conservatives? Well, conservatives usually believe in smaller government. Conservatives usually believe in lower taxes. Yeah, but wouldn't establishment people, like, wouldn't they be for lower taxes on their businesses? Well, you got to think, which is more beneficial? See, everything's based on a ledger. And if my incentives from the government or the policies that the government passes makes me more money than I'm paying in taxes, then that's a plus. If the advantages I get from having bought legislators, if the dollar advantage is more than I'm paying in taxes, then I'm not worried about the taxes. If I can tax all the people of the state of Alabama and I get more of a fair advantage because of the situation, that's a plus. It comes out positive. My profit loss statement, my profits are higher. That's how you end up with that. That's the whole idea of mercantilism being at the root of historical republicanism. The historic Republican Party liked government projects, liked the government doing things, liked the government deciding, hey, yeah, I like the Scott Beason Railroad. Let's go help him build the tracks and let's go make it so that he can make hundreds of millions of dollars. And we're doing it all for the good of the people. That is historic republicanism. Now, I think in the late 60s through Ronald Reagan, it became the home of conservatives, and that was a different viewpoint. And people in places like the state of Alabama believe that Republican means America first, smaller government, lower taxes, personal responsibility, family values. But a lot of those folks at the top don't really believe in that. So we've got this effort ongoing. And what I'm afraid of is when Republicans think, hey, I don't have to go vote for governor because I think this is what people think. I'm not trying to insult anybody else running for governor, but people think Tommy Tuberville wins the primary, no problem, hands down, it's over. So if I've got something else to do, why am I going to go vote today for the governor's race? Because Tuberville's going to win. Why go? U.S. Senate race. Oh, they're all the same. They're all saying the same thing. They're all our kind of guys. Yay, we win. There's nobody to hate there. What do I care? I've got something else to do. So if the two biggest races in the state don't really draw people, we're down now to what, the lieutenant governor's race?
That's next.
They all basically are saying the same thing again. So why am I going?
Yeah, motivation is somewhat lacking. I understand.
Go down to the Attorney General's
there's-
race. You know, we had Jay Mitchell on the other day, and then Pamela Casey was on. If you listen, you're like, hey, I like they all sound good. What's the other
candidates.
girl's name? Catherine Robertson.
Good candidate.
And people are like, well, it doesn't matter. They all basically saying the same thing. What does it matter? So I'm afraid there's a very good chance there's a very low turnout
I think you're.
amongst
correct.
Republicans. Now, let me ask you this. The well-oiled or somewhat well-oiled machinery of Republican establishment in league with historical Democrat organizations to pick the most tolerable Republican, if that machine is working, because it's not based on, hey, I've got to go vote for this person. It's based on, hey, this is what we do. We're part of the organization. Does that machine show up today, Sky?
Absolutely. This is exactly the situation they can take the best advantage of.
Oh, absolutely, it is. Because what are they voting for on the Democrat side? They are voting for what's his name, Doug Jones.
Our hero.
I mean, Doug Jones is going to win that nomination.
Yeah.
He's going to win it as easily as Tommy Tuberville does. So they're not inspired to vote for that. So are they inspired to vote in the Republican primary where they can make a difference while all of us are staying home? It's always a chance.
Oh, I think you're on to something there.
They
For
did.
sure.
They did
This
it
is-
in the
this is-
Republican primary 4 years ago, didn't they?
Yeah.
We
This
gotta
could
take
be
a quick break.
Even more advantageous.
Just
this time.
asking questions. We'll be back.
Scott Beason, president of ARP, Alabama Recovering Politicians.
To Alabama Unfiltered Radio with Scott Beason.
Welcome back into the program, everybody. This is Alabama Unfiltered Radio. Scott Beason, thank you for listening. Let's get out and let Soldier Boy finish up his thoughts, and we'll keep moving on through your calls on this primary Tuesday.
All right, you there, Scott?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay. So the next thing I know, I scanned the room, okay? They got all these little dividers and everything, and everybody's sitting down. So crowded in there, I had to wait 5 to 10 minutes for somebody to get up.
Okay.
That's how crowded it was.
Now let me ask you a question. So, was that Democrats voting in the Democrat primary?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So they're not voting in the Republican primary. They're Democrats voting in the Democrat primary.
Oh. No, and I told that one person out there, you know those people that always kind of run to you and try to give you a piece of thing, a brochure or information about their candidate, you know, outside the 25 feet zone, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I looked at him, I said, I had a list of who I wanted to vote for, and she says, I said, here's my list right here. She says, where'd you get that list? I said, I did my freaking research. I didn't know.
Now,
I don't give blind votes.
You're not just ornery to people for no reason, are you?
No, don't attack. That's one thing you don't attack is my religion, my family, and my country. You just don't do those three things.
Right.
Okay? You just don't. I served 26 years and 4 months in sacrifice for this country, and I'm not going to let a bunch of libertards take over. Okay, so as simple as that.
Gotcha.
So he says, what do you have to this? I said, I did my research. I said, what do you mean? He said, I listened to their advertisements, and then I went on the internet, and then I went to their website, and then I did the research to see who's backing them, and because my dad used to tell me, and I hate when politicians fling mud. Here's my question: don't tell me about somebody else. Tell me what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Don't. If I've ever run for office, first thing I would do, I will never talk negative about any of my opponents. I'm just going to tell you straight what I can do for my constituents, not what's bad. Oh, this person did this and that person. I don't want to hear about that. I don't care. What are you going to do? You know, they don't understand it.
Yeah, let me ask you a question, Soldier Boy. This is a good question. And so, Soldier Boy is running for office. You're running for office, and we'll just say I'm running against you. And you put out all the things that you're for, and you're for, I will say, I don't know, smaller government, lower taxes, family values. And I go, wow, I'm for that too. Smaller government, lower taxes, family values. And you know that I'm lying, that I voted to raise taxes 27 times in the legislature, sponsored them sometimes, voted against family values all the time, went and spoke and said, no, it takes a village. I want the nuclear family torn down. But all my advertisements say exactly what you say. Who's going to tell the voters that I'm lying?
It's not my job. That's the way people today have to be. You have the internet, first of all, to Google anything you want.
Yeah, no, but if I'm just going to look. I'm just going to look me up, and it's going to take me to my website, and it's going to say that I'm for exactly the same things you are. The reason I'm asking this is because I experienced this with a candidate that I tried to help, that I did help years and years and years ago, and it was the exact same situation, and they were adamant that they were not going to say anything negative about the person they were running against. And they would have gotten their tail whipped if they had not said it, because no one was going to say it. The press wasn't going to tell the voters. That candidate wasn't going to tell the voters. And I had to finally convince them that, look, the only person that's going to tell the voters that this person's not being truthful is you. And we're going to have to figure out how to do it. Or you can just go ahead and send us all to the house because you're going to lose.
Well, here's the thing is, it's not about winning and losing. It's about having integrity and having some values, okay?
Yeah.
And I'd rather lose with my dignity and my honor, okay?
Okay.
Like I said, do you remember the movie? Did you remember the movie A Few Good Men with at the end when the court martial is at the end, and he looked at Tom Cruise, okay?
Uh-huh.
And he told the corporal, that Marine, he says, he called the room to attention. There's an officer in the bay.
Yep.
And what did he say? Remember, he said, you don't have to have a patch on your sleeve to have honor.
Right.
How true. And he called the room to attention. You got to have honor. And you know what? You got the capabilities of going there and see how you. If I'm even suspect, I can go in there and see your voting record. I can go there. It's all general information how you voted, right?
Yeah.
And I can track it enough to see who's your PACs and who's backing you and everything. Here's for example, okay? Like now, a lot of people who were voting in the when I was sitting down, I went through that less than 5 minutes with my little dots, okay? Make sure they were perfect, so I wouldn't have any errors. I go through a lot of people who were studying unprepared, uneducated about their who they were going to vote for, okay? Or the ones that were easily swayed by people outside, okay? Like herd of sheep being directed to slaughter,
Right.
But no, I got done they were sitting down like it was a pop quiz for a test for midterm or something, or finals, because it's not that hard. You should have done you should know who you're going to vote for before you step out of that vehicle at that voting location, okay?
You got it,
And if
Soldier
Mr.
Boy.
Trump is smart.
We got to take a break, buddy. Go ahead, wrap it up. You got 20 seconds.
Okay. Mr. Trump needs to get rid of the 501c for the Poverty Law Center, like Barack Obama did to the Tea Party in Wetumpka.
Oh, I like it.
Woo.
Take it
All
away.
right, that's how you close the segment. Right there.
Thanks, Soldier Boy. We got to take a break. We'll be back.
Scott Beason, president of ARP, Alabama Recovering.
Alabama Unfiltered Radio with Scott Beason.
We are back, everybody. Welcome back in. Let's get out to your phone calls. I see Annie's up there. Annie, welcome to the program. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
I've got two items I wanted to bring up in regards to voting. One, your previous caller was talking about researching, and of course that is very important. Some people just get lost and they don't know where to look or what sites are good. There's one that I would recommend if people don't know who to vote for this election or keep this information for future, but iVoterGuide.com is a Christian-based site that shows all kind of information on each candidate. It has a scorecard for how they voted in the past, if they were in office before. It shows how they're rated by other conservative groups. It shows who's endorsed them. It shows who they gave money to and who gave money to them. It's got massive amounts of information, and it is all solid, factual stuff. So iVoterGuide.com would be a really useful source for anybody that's not sure when they get ready to go vote.
Okay, and you're vouching for them as like legitimately conservative or at least straightforward. Right. Okay, good deal, because I'm not familiar with them.
Well, I thought you might have been, because they've been around a long time, I believe. To the best of my knowledge, they are very legitimate. Okay. They are conservative. They are Christian. And I can't find anything about them that would make me doubt them. Okay. And I have been familiar with them in previous years, so I would certainly suggest somebody check that one out. The second thing, I just voted about 20 minutes ago in Prattville at the Central Alabama Community College on Old Ridge Road.
Okay.
Is my poll place. And this is only my second year to be voting in Autauga County. But I noticed some things that were really different that I've never seen before, and they weren't at this polling place last year.
Okay.
First of all, there had been I was the 231st person to vote by about 10:30.
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't know how good that is, but that's how many. But the things I saw that were different, they're not allowing anybody to put up candidate signs anywhere outside the polling place, not even way out by the road, which I kind of like because it just usually looks like litter everywhere, you know?
Yeah, it does.
But I don't know why they made that change.
Yeah, I really... That's another one, and I agree with you, Annie. I want to give you the last word before I start talking because everybody's like, Scott, you're talking. You don't listen to anybody. So go ahead and finish up, Annie.
Well, I thought it was odd, but I kind of thought it was nice. I don't really know that those signs, they do affect some people, the totally uninformed. They just vote for whoever they see the most signs for. But
they do.
I've done my job in the past putting up signs for candidates, so I know how important they are. But
yes, ma'am.
To stick them at the door of the voting place just doesn't seem that helpful to me. But they didn't have them this year. The other thing is when you got inside the building, they were only allowing 2 to 3 people at a time to go into the room where the voting was happening, and it wasn't crowded. So I don't know if that was a safety thing, but I thought that was interesting. And the third thing that, technology is taking over, so I'm sure that's part of it. But when you get ready to show you, before I get to the ID thing, there was a poster on the door before you get into the room, and I had to kind of laugh at this. It said, by Alabama law, only U.S. citizens can vote in an election.
Well, that's strong.
Well, that's interesting, but you're not asking for my proof of citizenship. So I'm sure that would keep out any illegal people, right? But that's what it said. At least it said you're supposed to be a citizen. But when you got inside and you were going to show your ID, they had this little scanner thing that they put kind of like when you check in at the doctor's office, they put your ID in there, and it didn't scan the front with your photo on it, but it scanned the barcode on the back.
Yep.
And it printed out a little slip of paper like a receipt that had your name and your address and, other information on there. And that's what you took over and gave to the person to get your ballot.
Oh, wow.
So
I haven't seen that one yet.
I don't know if it's just new technology or if it's more to ensure that you absolutely have to show your ID, because you got to put one in this machine to get this printout. And that would stopped probably, I would think, the same name. I don't know. I want to find out more why those came about and what they do. But that was the three things I saw different. No signs, only letting in 2 or 3 people at a time, and then having that little ID scanner thing.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. No, I'm familiar with the little ID scanner, but the person handing you your ballot is sitting right beside the person with the scanner, at least historically in my polling place. So I've not seen the little strip of paper deal. So that, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing if they're doing that at my place this afternoon, Annie.
Annie, one more time on your voting site. What was the name of that again, please?
Central Alabama Community College on Old Ridge Road in Prattville.
Right, your candidate information site, iVote or...
iVoterGuide.com.
iVoterGuide.com.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at it, and it's a good site, Annie. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for calling.
I hope other people can use it.
Yeah,
hey,
absolutely.
Appreciate y'all. Bye.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so there's a little, it looks like a gas gauge on your car or a speedometer, and it tells you, according to them, how conservative the candidate is. Like Seth Burton, running for U.S. Senate, is he's got, let's see, about 3/4 of a tank.
Oh, they do it
for
like
conservative.
That.
Yes. So he's the second notch from the right on conservative. Jared Hudson is the same. Steve Marshall is the same. Barry Moore is pretty much full.
All right.
On conservative. Rodney Walker is one notch down from the other 3 or 4. So little lean, he leans conservative. Dale Shelton Dees Jr., not enough information. And Morgan Murphy withdrew from the race. So that's kind of how it is. And again, remember going back to Soldier Boy.
Mm-hmm.
If everybody's saying the same thing, you got to start, and none of these sites are going to tell you. Now there is, if somebody held office, there's some scorecards if you held office. But if a bunch of people have never held office before, it's a little more difficult.
I wanted her to clear that up because I was trying to, I had I vote or die. And I
vote or die.
Yeah, I was coming up with rap songs and South Park episodes.
Voter Guide.
.com.
It says grounded in God, rooted in research. So it's pretty good, pretty interesting little site. And the fact that there are things like this gives us a good idea, because if you go to just the candidates' websites,
they're just going to tell you
they're all the greatest person ever.
God, guns, and
one time when I ran for Congress,
glory.
There was a bunch of people running, and when it started, I was the crazy right winger from the woods, basically the barbarian from the sticks, and it wasn't a handful of weeks into the campaign, I started realizing, wait a minute, why is everybody saying the same thing I'm saying? I was a barbarian, hard right winger, intolerable a few weeks ago, and now everybody's saying the same things.
What happened?
Because I was saying the things that poll well.
That's right.
And then all of a sudden you end up with,
focus.
I mean, Joe, he believes just like Scott, and I hate Scott, but Joe's better. Joe's better. That's what happens.
It is such a dirty game. The more I learn, the
politics
less I
is
like
rough because you only need 1 or 2 people who don't inherently believe in honesty, and they can be anybody. They are the ultimate chameleons, and they will say, I've been to events. I've gone from event to event to event with a guy, and he will say 3 different things to 3 different groups, and every group loves him. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm saying the same thing. 2 out of the 3 hate me, and he got,
I'm guessing
all
he's
3
very
love him.
successful.
Oh, very successful.
Yeah.
And very able to raise money.
Yeah.
My God. Hey, we got to take a break. I see some folks up here. Y'all stick with us. We'll get right to y'all. We'll be back. We appreciate you listening to the show. Thank you for telling people about this program. Let's get out to your phone calls. Clark, thank you for waiting. I hope you are well. Happy Primary Tuesday to you.
Happy Primary Tuesday to you, Scott.
Yes, sir.
going out to vote as soon as I get off the phone with you. And when I walk into the Asbury Volunteer Fire Department, about 10 miles out of town, it's going to be normal.
Mark.
Well, Doc.
Ah,
okay?
That's true. Yeah, you're everybody's favorite doctor.
Yeah. And then I'm going to have to take out my driver's license and hand it to them so they can scan it. Okay?
So you're going to have to be oppressed.
And I would not have it any other way. So there's that. You were talking about Democrats voting in the Republican primary.
Yes, sir.
You know, I think we should have party registration so that doesn't happen. But what's going to happen the minute after we get that, Scott? Democrats are going to go and register as Republicans so they can vote in the Republican primary. I think pretty much my whole life, the left has had way too much influence in who the right's candidates are.
Yes.
And we now live in a state where you're going to have a very hard time in the vast majority of the state getting elected if you put a D behind your name. So if you are a D, you put an R behind your name. And if we have it to where you have to be registered, and they know that the Democrat's not going to win, they'll just register as an R, won't they?
Yeah, and one of the problems is, Clark, and look, this election's somewhere up there near you. I don't know which one it is, but there's a piece over at alpolitics.com by Angela McClure that says, I don't even know this guy. His name is James Lomax. I think former Congressman Brooks is running against him for the state house. This guy is, I think, one of the speaker in Alabama's right-hand guys. Apparently, he authored a column back in 2016 and said Trump and his pithy insults mixed with Clinton and her seemingly weekly bouts with scandal makes it easy to understand why I'm scrambling the web to half-heartedly inquire rates for a one-way plane ticket to Canada. This is a Republican guy running, an establishment Republican guy running for the state house for re-election in the state of Alabama. In 2016, he was so tore up about it only being Trump and Clinton that he's jokingly or not jokingly writing an article about, hey, maybe I just need to go to Canada. That's what our choices are.
Yeah. So that's where we are now, right?
Yeah.
He's running against Mo Brooks?
Yes, he is.
That's a non-decision on my part.
You would think that would be pretty easy. I mean, and that's the thing. Whether you like Trump, whether you like what Trump does, whether Trump, gets on your nerves, but the choice between Trump and Clinton, the choice between Trump and Biden, those were easy choices for any conservative. So, because conservatives have the backbone and the testicular fortitude to go, you know what, I'm not fond of that guy, but he's way better. Way better. So you got to ask yourself, how did we end up with all these folks in the legislature like this?
Well, they're good at lying.
It's a decent point.
I mean, that's how.
Right.
Well, you probably got somebody else waiting, and I'm going to go in there so everybody can go, hey, Doc.
Hey, Doc. Bye, Doc.
There you go.
You know, I'm corny enough to, if Clark was walking in, I would say, what's up, Doc? Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you?
Rabbit season.
What's up, Doc?
Doc.
Let's go to Papa B. Papa B, welcome to the program. Happy Tuesday to you.
Yeah, what's up, Doc? I would do it too.
I know you would, because you're corny too.
In fact, I did it. I'm that corny. I mean, my dad was a veterinarian too, and so I'd come in, what's up, Doc, every time,
I love it.
Never gets old, does it?
Never gets old. No dad jokes ever get old.
Never gets old. In fact, I told Joey one day, maybe last week, that I'm looking forward to new Wile E. Coyote versus Acme movie.
I actually am too, believe it or not.
What? There's a film coming out?
There is a film coming out.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're going to ruin that now, I bet.
Oh, man. And Foghorn Leghorn, my favorite, is going to make a cameo appearance, I understand. So
I
Come
heard
on,
it's
you better not be kidding.
I
me.
heard it's not woke.
This is too good to be true. If
I
it's
think-
legit.
I think they actually tried to stop it from coming out back when, all the woke stuff was really going on, but now they are going ahead and releasing it. So
All right. Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, this back to the politicians and their money and everything. Shawshank Redemption is one of my favorites. You probably all too. And during one of the scenes, Morgan Freeman, found out all the ways that the skimming was done. It's like there's dozens of ways you can skim money off the top. There's a river of dirty money running through this place. The same thing goes on with our politicians up in Washington, D.C. They're not worried about missing a paycheck.
Right.
They have their foundations, and their foundations hire their relatives, wives, sons, daughters, cousins-in-law, and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, all of that money gets, forwarded up to the top somehow to pay the big guys. So, yeah, they're not worried about that. But I think if they're kind of on the right track, if they would go ahead and say, okay, not only do the politicians not get paid, the staff doesn't get paid either. Now, that would put the heat on the politicians, because then the staff would be looking at and say, dude, you got to do something. We can't take it, because they're like us. Paycheck to paycheck, they got to pay rent, dude.
That's right.
So I'm kind of for it, but I wish they would just go a little bit deeper than that. The other thing I'd just like to say is this. In the background, President Trump and the DOJ, they are cleaning up house on the voter rolls type stuff. And I think that SAVE Act would be the cherry on the top. But even so, if we could get to the point where the voter rolls were actually cleaned up, Scott, I think what you'd see is people would be saying in an election, well, gee, nobody's really voting for the Democrats. I just think it's that bad. I think the fraud is that bad.
Well, I've told y'all before, I don't know if you remember it, I was told when I first started running, this was years and years ago, and actually I think Mo Brooks tells this story as well, that the given argument, we were in the minority in the legislature, the given argument was if you were running against a Democrat, you had to get 5% more than they did to win.
Yep.
That's just what we were always told. Now, I couldn't verify it, I couldn't bet on it, but that's what we were told, so it came from somewhere.
Kind of like a margin of error, only different.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Favoritism. It's gotten us in some bad troubles. Anyway, all right, guys. Well, thanks a lot. I'm enjoying the show.
Hey, buddy, I appreciate it, Papa B. Now that has translated to you probably have to have 5% more than the establishment's chosen candidate in the Republican primary to win. How dare you say that, Scott? Well, look, the people who used to run the Democrat Party are running the Republican Party
Still there.
in
They're
county
still there.
after county after county. Do you know how many counties? I don't know the answer. How many counties where the local Republican leadership used to be the Democrat Party leadership?
I would imagine that's quite common in this state.
It's quite common in this state.
Yeah, nothing new under the sun in Alabama, at least.
It's amazing, and these folks, and you think, you know what is weird? Is normal people are like, look, I don't want to be in charge. I don't want to be in charge of anything.
That's the guy I want to vote for.
But there are folks who want to be in charge, and they will move to wherever they need to be to do so. We got to take a break. We'll be back.
Scott Beason, president of ARP, Alabama Recovering
Let's
Politician.
get right back out to your phone calls. Let's go out to the Reverend Precipitous from over in Hertzahatchee. Reverend, welcome to the program.
Thank you. This is Reverend Alvin Precipitous from over here. You know, we got the campground just south of Hertzahatchee. You realize that, right?
Yeah, and what's the name of that
Yes,
church
it's
again, Reverend?
The first congregational, non-denominational, Holy Church of the Commons at Hertzahatchee.
Yes, sir. I
And,
love that
You
church.
know, we our 500 people that's in the campground. You know, we have our own evangelical radio station that goes out to 72 countries. And we've been here since 1957, and we all get in single file to go over to the clerk to vote. You know, her name's Vicky. She's talked to you several times, got kind of upset with you.
Yes.
And, you know, this year I had the sermon, and we had to, I wanted it to be instilled in everybody's mind how they was going to vote. And what I did was I did everybody's realizing of one person that kind of doesn't go along with our Israel beliefs from 1940.
Right.
And so let me tell you what we do when we go to vote. We have a special initiative named after somebody you'll catch on. Are you ready to write down the acronym?
Yes, sir.
Now, what we believe in is getting, you know, Miriam Edelman to decide who we vote for, okay? So
Okay.
we're staying right with 1940. Have you got me?
Yes, sir.
And she asked Netanyahu, and here's the initiative. Better evaluate all selections on Netanyahu. Beason. Y'all get out there and vote.
Get out there and vote. Thank you, Reverend. I appreciate you. Reverend will bring it now. He can.
I'm still processing some of
His
that,
sermons are strong. So let's go back to yesterday. AOC, I guess it was over the weekend that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was in the state of Alabama. I think she also did a little video with Representative Terry Sewell.
The circus came to town.
They
in
had
Montgomery.
They had their bulletproof. What do you call that thing? I can't remember.
It's some type of a partition or curtain or
Yeah, just a little
Divider,
trifold, two-fold thing put up there, and they're speaking behind, which is all theatrics. It's all
the whole
theatrics.
thing. That's just part of the show, Scott.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. So who covered it? AL.com, of course.
Yes.
That AOC joined several of her comrades in Montgomery. And what did she say? She said it was time for the North to pull up to the South.
Yeah.
It's time for New York to pull up to Alabama. It's time for all of us to come to Georgia, to Louisiana, to Tennessee, to Mississippi, and let them know exactly what they have on court with this injustice. Is
Sounds
this
like
where
a
she
threat to me?
Well, she
Is that a
said it
threat?
was. Well, she said it was an opening silo.
I saw that silo. That's where we keep the corn.
And we
honey.
get the corn over there.
Yeah, I believe she meant salvo.
They think they can draw
Who
us out of
knows?
power. They do not know the sleeping giant that they just awakened, because it's not a coincidence. And our whole country must understand that it was not until voting rights were ratified in this country that we got the Great Society.
Oh, it's been great.
Wow. You know, she might not be totally, well, anyway. Because when black Americans have the right to vote and that vote is protected, our schools get funded. Now, we don't, our education level, apparently, so I'm going to take everything she says as a plus and ask, okay? So our schools get funded. Did she say our schools got better?
No.
Did our test scores get better?
She didn't mention that.
Did our schools get safer?
Definitely not.
She says when voting rights are, health care gets expanded. Is health care better?
No.
Is health care more affordable?
Not.
No. When voting rights are protected, our country moves forward toward that Democrat utopia, socialist, Marxist utopia that she can only dream of. She didn't say that part. I said that part. There's a period after forward. And Montgomery, that's what they're actually afraid of. What they thought was the final blow is just the opening silo.
That's great.
Yeah, she wants to start according to this article, she wants to start a war involving grains like corn, wheat, and soybeans.
Okay. Well, she's a bartender, so she knows a lot
She knows
about
all about-
squeezing grains and whatnot. Yeah. Corn squeezings, if you will.
One person
So-
said, from
so-
beyond a bulletproof cage, I guess she doesn't trust the area she's speaking in.
I take pull up or roll up as kind of a euphemism for drive-by shootings.
It's definitely, I had to go look it up in the Urban Dictionary to see how the vernacular works.
Yes.
And one of them is to enjoin in a confrontation.
Okay.
So New York needs to confront Alabama. And I saw a social media person say, hey, look, that's easy for you to say from up there, but come down here and say it. And I was like, well, she did come down here and say it. She
she was
said
here.
it right in front of the state capitol
Reading is fundamental.
in the state of Alabama. But it gets better. There's more to the story.
Can't possibly get
Oh, there is. This is an 1819 news article. You're not going to believe April Marie Fogel wrote this one.
Pal, my little sister.
On Monday, U.S. Representative Terry Sewell joined. This is playing off after the big weekend they had, and this brings everything together. I can't believe where this is going, Sky. You're going to love this. Joined 61 other Congressional Black Caucus members to block the name, image, likeness reform. That's the sports thing that we talk about all the time.
Of course.
So 61 Congressional Black Caucus members came together to tell the conferences, the SEC, et cetera, and the National Collegiate Athletic Association, the NCAA, that they will not have their support if the NCAA and the conferences remain silent on the current redistricting plans.
Extortion, in other words.
Do y'all see what the Congressional Black Caucus is saying and doing? They are saying, we're not going to let you fix the problems in college sports unless you redistrict the way we want to redistrict. And Sky's exactly right. It is extortion.
Plain and simple.
Now, here's where they miss, okay? Number one, they miss in some of the stuff that they say. Listen to this quote. This is what they put out. The Congressional Black Caucus believes institutions that profit from black talent and black communities have a responsibility to stand with those communities when their fundamental rights are under attack. Silence in the face of injustice is not neutrality, it is complicity. They sent letters to Greg Sankey, the Southeastern Conference Commissioner, the Atlantic Coast Conference Commissioner, the NCAA President Charlie Baker. They didn't send where are the it's not just the southern states doing it. Everybody's redrawing, but it's okay.
Oh, that's different. That's
different.
Now,
Now,
who's being denied the right to vote? That's been mentioned in all of these complaints. I'm not.
No
understanding
one.
that.
Here's some more. Quote, the Congressional Black Caucus cannot support legislation benefiting major athletic institutions that continue to remain silent while black voting rights and black political power are being systemically dismantled across the South. Did any journalist say, what exactly are you talking about when you say black political power? What is your goal? What are the tenets? Where do I look up? Where on the internet will it tell me what I get if I support, as you quote it, black political power? What is the policy? What are the policies of black political power? Do you want to take bets on whether or not you can't find that anywhere?
I don't think they want you to find it.
I think there's a good chance. We got to take a break. There'll be more on the other side. We'll be back.
Scott Beason, president of ARP, Alabama Recovering Politician.
Alabama Unfiltered Radio with Scott Beason.